Well, hi, welcome back. As if you needed any reminder, this is David speaking to you from the virtual Benedetti sessions. You have found me again in my flat in Glasgow. I'm going for a more relaxed feel tonight. It's an early evening. It's a very, very nice evening in Glasgow. It's always sunny here, which I'm sure you know already. In this video, we're going to be focusing on two things, and neither of them are the actual notes. Why are you not covering the notes, David? Well, you've got to come to the Zoom sectionals. That is where we're going to cover all the little corners, all the tricky moments. I'm going to give you loads of fingering suggestions, loads of great ideas for how to get the best sound out of your cello during those times. So these times I want it to be really general and to cover things that we can't necessarily get to during the live Zoom sectionals. With that in mind, the first thing we're going to talk about is well-being. I hope you're enjoying Well-Being Wednesdays with the wonderful Elena. She is just great. So I thought I would give you my top 10 well-being tips. And for this, I need some music and I need to put my cello down. In at number 10 is don't give up. Keep having lessons with your teachers. Please, 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 please. Following on from number 10 is number 9, and that is the importance of warming up. So please go and check out the weekly warm-up videos. Build your own warm-up routine. Still at number 8 this week is the importance of taking breaks. These are great for your brain and for your body. 7 is be patient with yourself. It's going to take a little while. This is a long journey. In fact, learning a musical instrument is a never-ending journey. As steady as a rock. And number 6 is structuring your practice time. You could use a sort of pie chart, practice cake for that, or it could even just be writing a list the night before of the things that you're going to tackle the day after. Okay, we're halfway there. On to the top 5. At number 5, it's being okay with making mistakes. You will know already that mistakes are cool. It is one of the best and fastest ways to learn. Number 4 is stay calm and relaxed while you're playing and practicing. And don't forget to breathe. 3, acknowledge that some days are going to be good and some days are going to be not so good. It's the reality of life. Sometimes we pick up our instruments and it just works. And other times it can just feel like it's just not happening. Just kept off the top spot this week is number 2, which is to surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with people who are going to keep you grounded, who are going to keep you encouraged, and are going to help you with number 1, which is to remember to keep a sense of perspective. Music is a beautiful, special, profound thing, and you get to play and you get to learn it. Remember that it's only music. So there you have it. There's David's top 10 well-being tips. Hopefully some of that is useful to you, and they are things that you can come back to during these 3 weeks, but also beyond. The other thing we're going to cover today is double stops. Another thing that we are not such a big fan of practicing necessarily. So I thought I'd start by explaining why. Why is it important to play double stops? For one thing, it is a fantastic way of helping with your intonation. It is going to sharpen your listening so quickly because you're balancing 2 notes at one time. It's not just a single note, you've got something to measure the note against. As well as being great for your ears, it is also great for your hand to really establish a good solid hand shape and also to strengthen the hand. Finally, these are super useful because they appear in lots of different forms and lots of different guises in lots of different pieces. And today we'll go through the places where they appear in your pieces. On to the how. How are we to practice double stops? Well, first of all, you should always remember the principles of balancing the 2 notes. You can see I'm looking at my notes down here. Try to balance the 2 notes in a double stop. And what I mean by that is using the angle of your bow. What we don't want if we're playing, let's say a G with a high G, we don't want to hear lots of just the bottom one and none of the top. Nor do we want to hear tons of the top and none of the bottom. So Be aware of the angle of your bow. Try to land it flat on the strings that you are playing the double stops on. Having said try to get a balance, it's really helpful for tuning to use the lower note of the double stop or triple stop or quadruple stop as a bit of an anchor, so that you're trying to almost tune the upper note from the lower note. Practicing double stops can get a bit sore after a while. It is a bit of a workout for your left hand. So I would encourage you to take lots of rests, lots of little breaks, just give it a shake and reset, especially if you're beginning to get sore. Let's go through some exercises that might be helpful to you, particularly if some of this is new to you. I would say the way to get into double stops is to play pieces that balance a note against an open string. So that's a double stop, not a very in tune one, just realised my cello's not that in tune. I'm just actually going to tune up now. As if by magic, my cello is now in tune. And you can try this thing of playing D and A, then put your first finger down on the D string, making sure that you create a tunnel for the A string, and that was going to create an interval of a fourth. You try your third finger, that will give you a third, and your fourth finger, that will give you a second. Okay, so a really simple exercise you can try to experiment with this idea of keeping an open string on all the time. Play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on one string. So play it on the D string, fourth position there, and keep the open A the whole time, like this. Focus on the balance of the notes. So you can try that at home. There's also a couple of places in the pieces that we're learning that you have to tune a stopped note to an open string. For example, in the talus, which we're going to look at a little bit later, you've got this open G against an octave G there. So already you're seeing how double stops are starting to appear in our music. It's really important when you're trying double stops that you make sure the weight is all going down into the string. We don't want our thumb to be fighting against our fingers in any way. So as a little tip or a little thing you could try is if you're playing a double stop, just see if you can tap your thumb gently at the back as you are pressing down. So for example, can you tap? That'll show you that the pressure is all going the right way. It's going down and into the string. Otherwise, if you're squeezing with your thumb, really what you're doing is forcing the cello a little bit this way, which is fighting against your fingers. We want the weight to be coming down and into the string, like you're hanging off what we call monkey bars in the UK, the things that you have to kind of swing on at an adventure playground. For trickier double stops like thirds, fourths, sixths, it's really good, and octaves, it's really good to play one note, then the other note, and then together. So for example, if I was doing thirds, let's say in C major, so I'd play E, the lower note, slur to the upper note, and then together. So on. Same thing with sixths, so you can try. And I'm sure starting to very carefully adjust like mine are to my tuning. Fifths are very important. As cellists we get lots of them because they're really solid foundation, and of course us being towards the bottom of the orchestra means that we often have the foundation notes. So the start of the warlock, you'll notice we have that repeated fifth, and it's almost like you have to bar across as if you're playing like a bar chord on a guitar. But there's a few important things to remember when you are playing fifths. As you bar across the string, try to avoid the first finger or any finger that's playing the fifth really collapsing into itself. We don't want any sort of broken looking joints. We do need it to be flatter so that we can play across both strings, but we should never be any sort of awkward neck sort of shape like that. It should all still be slightly round. A little tip with tuning fifths, because they can be notoriously difficult to get in tune. I used to sort of adjust the angle of my left hand, which will do it, but isn't great for your hand shape. And I learned not too long ago that actually you can just tune them by varying the amount of pressure that you're applying to each string. So this is going to be really difficult to see, but if I show you up close, I am basically going to be varying between about that leaning onto the higher string or that leaning onto the lower string. And that's going to make a big difference to the intonation. Have a listen. So I'm leaning onto the A string there. And then I can tilt. And I can lean onto the D string. I've not changed the angle at all. I'm just changing the swing of my arm and where the pressure is being applied. And ideally you can center it. So for the fifth at the start of the warlock, I find it's easiest to go there 1-1 because it's probably my strongest. Some people also use an extra finger to help. I don't know if this is necessary for this. Also possible with other fingers. Definitely not pinky. Because that's really tough going. I thought I'd finish this tutorial by playing a good chunk of the talus. I'm going to play from letter C because that features a whole bunch of different double stops and also gives you a kind of an idea of the sound that we're aiming for, particularly with that appassionato, remembering back to the weight and the speed and the point of contact that we've been talking about in previous videos, but also in our live sectionals. So here it comes from letter C. I was working quite hard there to get a good balance between the notes. I'm sure you'll agree I didn't quite achieve it, but it gives you an idea for what you're aiming for. My final thought for today is to see the difficult things such as double stops or the boring things such as scales as wise investments. The time you spend on the things that are tricky or that don't interest you so much, they are going to pay dividends in the future. It'll all be worth it in the end. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again soon and happy practicing.